the theoretical aspects. The same will be covering in the practical aspects. Okay, yeah. So going back here again, we come to the screen sharing. So as I said, we started with the unit 3, which is nothing but a Unix processes, which is similar to, like, as I said, when a program is under execution state, it becomes a process. So what happens in a process? Where a program is running, what happens at the back end, how the process should be stopped, how the process should be shifted, and all is nothing but the third unit, where we started with the environment of Unix process, the introduction, the main function, where we said about what happens in a process, right? Program under execution is the process. Then we said about the introduction. Then we said about the main function. If I'm not wrong, here we just discussed about whenever you run a C program, right? The first and the foremost thing is kernel runs a startup routine, which is called as a bootstrap loader, to be specific. It allocates the memory for the first instance of the C program, and from there your program starts executing in the memory. And as I said, the memory is not fixed all time. The memory keeps on changing, the initial memory. Then we said about the process termination, right? There are two ways of process termination. One is the normal way, the other one is the abnormal way. That is what I'm talking here now. We start with the main first. We all know now when the program executes. Just anybody is admitting here in the class? Okay, yeah. So when C program starts its execution, it starts from the main. That is what we studied. And when it starts its execution, the kernel first runs a startup routine. As I said, it is called as a bootstrap loader source. Okay, please remember that. Maybe in your Vivas and all, sometimes they may ask you which is the first startup routine which is run by the kernel is nothing but the bootstrap loader. So this program specifies the starting address for the program. That is what we know. Then your program starts executing. This was all about the main concept. Then about the process termination. Now when your program is under execution, now there's the next thing is the process should be terminated. So which are the different ways the process can be terminated? The different ways are, there is normal termination and there is called as abnormal termination. So in normal termination, it is like by using the system called return. So when you use return in the main program, what happens there is, at any point when the program, your control comes to the return before main, when the main, there are n number of statements for you. So when each statement is executed successfully, and at the end when you write return 0, which means that it is telling to the operating system, or it is telling to the kernel that whatever the statements are written by the user before this are successfully executed without any problem, and now you are free to release the resources. That is what we call it as return 0, which is nothing but one way of normal termination. Then we have calling exit and calling underscore exit. That is what in the diagram as I said. So whenever a main kernel starts its execution, C program starts, it first executes a startup routine. The startup routine in turn will call your C program. So from the main also you can write exit 0, or you can write exit 0 in the functions also, right? So from the main, you can call again user-defined functions. Again from user-defined functions, you may call exit or you may call underscore exit. So when you call exit from the main, it executes this exit function. Till now we were only knowing that whenever an exit is called in a C program, it terminates the program at that point itself. This was what was known to me till now also. Yeah, this was what was known to me till now only. But after knowing this, just a minute, students, I'm getting a call. Just a minute. हाँ सूरज भाई बोलिए. Yeah, sorry for the interruption. Okay, coming back here. Okay, so as I said, we know now when exit is called, what does the exit do is, it in turn will call some of the exit handlers. Now what are handlers? Handlers are the task which releases the resources, memory, other processes, and it also does the cleanup of things like releasing of IO resources and all. So it does all this Then it itself calls underscore exit and writes to the kernel. This is how the program exits. Similarly, when you call exit from user defined function, from here it calls exit handler. It does some processing, cleanup processing, like releasing resources, memory, and IO devices. Then writes to the exit. Again, it writes to the kernel. And next we studied is underscore exit. What is underscore exit? Underscore exit is similar to exit, but the only difference is whenever an underscore exit is encountered, it directly writes to the kernel. Look at the diagram here. From the main, if you call underscore exit, it directly writes to the kernel without doing the cleanup processing. This is the only difference between exit and underscore exit. The other day, again, I gave the same example. If 5 apps are open on your mobile phone and if your system is updated, your mobile is updated for some system resources, it tells you to restart your mobile, right? So since some apps are open, once you close the app, and then you restart, you're something doing like an exit function. That means whatever the apps are open, you're closing them, the memory, RAM and all are removed, then you restart your mobile, right? This is an exits call. And if still they are open and still you restart your mobile phone, it is an underscore exit. That means the memory and all are not released, but still you're forcing it to restart it. So who does that cleaning up process? Kernel does. That's the difference between exit and underscore exit. Then we studied about abnormal termination. That is, what I mean by abnormal is if something goes wrong in the program, unknowingly, it is called as abnormal termination. There are two ways of abnormal termination. One is by calling abort. Just like if a program is not doing perfectly, it is still repeating again and again, then you can always call abort function to terminate the process. And this is an abnormal termination, not the normal termination. And there is something known as terminated by signal. That means whenever any signal occurs in your system, suddenly if you're doing a transaction and if you get a phone call on your mobile phone, the transaction is interrupted. If you're doing a phone pay or GPay to your friend, and at the same time you get a call in between directly. Now the transaction is disturbed. It is not happening. This is called as abnormal. We don't know what is happening at any time, right? And those are called as signals. So we said here calling abort and calling signal. Then we said about the command line argument. We know this very much. Environment list. Okay, now this is where I'm targeting today. I told you now, environment list is nothing but a list which contains or which describes the structure or the nature of your environment which you are using. The nature of the environment, like which is the home directory, which is the path directory and all. So all these variables which describes the structure of the OS are called as environment variables, and those are stored in a list called as environment list. This is what we studied in the previous class. We can get it by two ways, where main can be passed with an additional argument env, which is nothing but a environment list, and this argument is an optional. Okay, you may pass, you may not pass, but if at all you want to use environment variables, we need to pass this argument, or else you can always use by an external variable environ. Similar to same only env, rather than directly accessing this list, you are getting it from a variable. That's it. So variables like home, path, shell, user, log name, all are stored in this list. Okay, so this is what we said about the environment list. Then three ways of getting all your environment variables. One is by passing the third argument env. As I said, this is a list which holds all the environment variables. So I'll pass here the third argument and write from the first location of the list till you encounter null, because as I said, the list is always submitted with a null character. So till you encounter null, keep on accessing the data. So printf the first string value from this list, env of 0. So what may be stored at 0th location, maybe home, so it displays with the home directory. Next comes env of 1, maybe at the first location is a path, third shell, and so on. So till it encounters null, it shows you all the environment variables. This was the first way which we studied. The second way is the similar to first, but here only we are using the global variable environ. This variable is used here. So why it is used, sir, and why it is told extern? Because extern is nothing but a variable which has redundant values, which may display redundant values for you. And here it is only defined but not declared. Okay, so these are the second ways of displaying all the environment variables. And the third way is by the function get env. Now get env will get you the environment variable only which you want it. Only which you want it, only that environment variable you get it from the getEnv function. Okay, this is what we studied. I'll repeat it. Okay, we studied how to get the environment variables by getEnv, by the third argument env, and by using global variable environ. This is we studied memory layout of a C program. It is very clear, I'm sure now, right? Yeah. Okay, this is what we said about the memory layout of C program. Then we said about memory allocations. At runtime, memory can be allocated by the functions malloc, calloc, and realloc. Malloc allocates specified number of bytes for a single variable. Calloc allocates specified number of bytes for specific number of objects. And realloc will either increase or decrease the memory. That is what we studied. Again, we studied about alloca. Alloca is similar to malloc, but rather than allocating memory from heap, it allocates from the stack frame. So what happens here is, whenever you are using alloca, we don't have to free the memory. It automatically frees the memory for you. Okay. Here, this is what we are targeting here. Environment variables. So already environment variables are there in the system. So you can get a value of individual by the syntax name equal to value, where name is nothing but the name of the environment variables and value is nothing but the value assigned to this environment variable. So we can get it by the system call getEnv. See here, getEnv home. So what is the value of the home variable? This is value. It's stored in this variable name, which is assigned to res, and you are displaying the home variable. Okay. Now coming back to the actual thing here. Okay. Now just see. Okay. This is what we studied here. Sorry. Okay. So there are two ways now. I'll just go to this program here. See here. Okay. I've already run the program for you. Okay. So when I run this code, environ, please remember here, okay, I'm telling some important points also. So this is a program which displays you all the environment variables. In env, sorry, env is the environment variable list. I'm using external variable environ, the second program which I told, and I'm displaying it. So when I run this, it displays me all the environment variables available in my system. Now look at this. Have a clear look, okay? See here. All these environment variables are stored. Host name is my localhost.local domain. Terminal is xterminal. Shell I'm using is bash shell. So many are there. If you keep on counting, maybe almost there are 50 plus environment variables. You can still add over there, okay? Desktop, see the mailbox. We have present working directory. Where am I working? I'm working the root in that examples environment, in that debug source. This is the present working directory. The language, the input, so many other consoles and all. Okay. So one thing what I want to tell is environment variables are not prefixed. Please keep this in mind. They are not fixed like our keywords in C. In C we have 32 keywords. Unlike that, here those environment variables are not fixed. You can keep on adding your environment variables all time also. So see, this gives me the list of all environment variables present in my system at this point. Okay, present in my system at this point. So this is one way. Now, if I want only a specific environment variable, I can get it by the system called getEnv. See here. Now, I'm not interested in all those environment variables. I'm only interested in this four: home, path, root, and user. Which is the home directory, which is the path, which is the root being used, and who is the user. Okay. So we use a system called getEnv. getEnv will get the data for a specific variable only. So this will get, which is the home directory for me, gets the value and assigns it to this and displays it. Similarly, it gets me for path, displays here. Gets for root, displays here. And user, displays here. This is a simple code where I use getEnv. Now, rather than showing all, it shows me only those four. See here. Which is the home directory. Now for me, home is root. The path is, I'm using this path. Now which is the root directory, it is showing me null here. Maybe my system has assigned it, or there is no root directory for me, because since I'm using on Ubuntu. Who is the user? User is the root itself. So these are the predefined meanings assigned to my system. See, what output I'm showing here may be different when you run it on your system, because this is according to my system, my requirements. And if you use it on your system, it is as per your requirement. So please don't be under impression that sir has told here home is root, in my system it is showing my name. Maybe you have done the configuration that way. Yeah, very true. So this is, you get the environment variables whichever you want it. Okay, this was about get env. Then we said about put env, which will add a new environment variables to the list. We have set env. What does set env do? Set env will assign a new value to the existing environment variable, and unset env will remove its meaning. If any value is assigned, it will remove and mark it as null for you. So this is what we studied in the previous classes: put env, set env, and unset env. And I told in the previous class that maybe in the next class I'll show you the practical version of this. Okay. So now let's study one by one this put env. Okay, how this put env works. Now again I'll go back here. Okay. This is get env, which we studied now. Next is put env. Okay, now if you come to this program here, again I'll show you. I'll run the entire code here. Okay, I'll run this entire code, which will display me all the environment variables in the system. Okay, now it is running. Yeah, it is in run mode now. I'll come here. Now let's do it slowly. Okay, look at the first environment variable, something agent is displaying. Next is the host name, terminal, shell, list size, window, this user. Okay, see here. Look at this, all these are environment variables. Path, desktop, mailbox, genome. If you look at this list here, there is no environment variable by the name name. See here, authority is here, color term, broken, display, less open, all these are system level files, log names and all, but there is no environment variable by the name name. Okay, so what I'll do is, my next task is to add a environment variable in the list. Okay, and this is used only at the runtime for me. So how can I do that? By the system call put env. Now look at this. In put env, system call is used to add an environment variable to the list. So we know now put env. Look at the syntax here now. Put env takes a syntax of the type string, which is nothing but the name of the variable. That is what it's shown here. Function takes a string of the form name equal to value. Name is nothing but the new environment variable which you want to add it, and for that the specific value. Okay, so see this code here. I'm putting environment variable in my existing list by the name. Now the name of my new environment variable is name. You can give any name there, but make sure it won't clashes with the existing names. That care you should take it. So what I'm doing is I'm calling put env name equal to Kuldeep. So what is happening? I'm adding a new environment variable in the list by the name whose value is Kuldeep. So it's executed. Hopefully it is executed. So if it executes successfully, it writes 0. This is what is told here, which we said last time. Okay. It returns 0 if okay and non-zero on error. If the statement put env is executed successfully, it writes 0 for me. Okay. So what did I do here right now? Initially I wrote main. Directly I had called put env because it writes an integer value, which is called as a file descriptor. Put env equal to name of type value. The variable name is name and its value assigned is Kuldeep. So put env is executed. So if it is executed successfully, 0 is stored in return. If not, it writes some other values. So if result equal to 0, I'm comparing it whether it is executed successfully or not. If executed successfully, it writes 0. Assuming that it has executed successfully, it assigns 0 to this variable result. So 0 is equal to 0, true, comes here. environment variable successfully written. I'll just display a message. And the next thing is I should get the value of this environment variables. So which is the environment variable name. So what I'll do is I'll print the value of environment variable is, and to get the value of environment variables, we use the function get env. So get env. So get env name. Initially, this name was not in the environment list, but now I'm adding this variable in the environment list by the name. So get env is equals to name, gets it and displays it here. If this is fails, it displays a message that is there was an error in writing the environment variable. Let's see which one was that. Put env we are working with. Okay, let's go to the put env code. Just to save the time, students have written this code here. Okay, because again typing here it will take a lot of time for me. So see here, I've added the variable name. You can give any name here. Okay, so see, put env is equals to name. So now my name is assigned to this variable name. So again the same thing, and let's see whether now this is added or what. See, environment variable returned successfully. The new variable written is Kuldeep. So the variable name was name. For that, what is the value? Kuldeep is always written for me. You can give any name over here. Now rather than name, I'll just say something demo. Okay, put env demo. So now the environment variable name is demo for me, for whom the value is, I can give any value here. I can give any value here. Okay, I'll give home. Okay, I'll just say here something USP. So I'm adding an environment variable by name demo whose value is USP. So again written here get env. Now what should I give here? The demo, this one, because I'm calling the environment variable which will fetch its value. So I should say here demo. Okay, let's see. See, USP is written now. Getting this everyone, how the put env works, and this works only at the runtime, students. Okay, please remember that. Now you may think now, so once I've added here, it should display me in my program list also when I run that get env, right? No, it never happens that. This is only used at the runtime. So when you're a hardcore coder and you're writing a bigger, lengthier code where you want to use this variable all time, that time you go with this sample code. I have just separated it for you in bits and pieces for you to understand it. Because when you write a very good code, what happens? Get env, put env, set env, everything is collaborated in a single program where you become a diehard coder, I mean to say. But now at your level, for you to understand, I have put it in bits and pieces. So how does put env works? I gave a sample code. Similarly, how does get env works? I gave a sample code. Set env, I gave a sample code. All that are separately. Okay. Is this clear? Put env, everyone, students? In the chat box, anybody? Which means that you people are active for me now. Is this put env clear? Anybody in the chat box? Kushal, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. This tells me that you people are active also and you are understanding also. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Okay. So we now said about, yeah. Thank you everyone. Now we said about put env. Okay. See, I told you there are three functions: put env, set env, and unset env. We said about get env. Get env is easy. Next we studied is put env, which we studied now. Next let's study about how does set env works. Now what is set env is, if there is a environment variable which is already existing, for that you set a new value at runtime. The first parameter is the name of the variable, which variable you are changing. The next is the value for that variable. See, set env has three arguments. First is the name of the environment variable, the first one. Second is the value for that environment variable which you want to set it, and third one is the integer value, which is nothing but a non-zero value over there. Okay. So what happens here is when you use this statement set env, whichever environment variable you have used here, for that it assigns this new value. Okay, let's see how this practically works now. I'm just showing the code here. Get env is this, put env is this, set env. Look at the codes carefully. Okay, uh, easy to understand, but let's take some time. So now initially what I'm doing is I'm having a environment variable user. Okay, so user of my system was root. So look at this here. Okay, for you to understand, I'll just say you. I'll come here. Okay, get env. Okay, the user of this one, the user. Okay, this was a user. So let's see who is the user of my system initially. Yeah, the user of my system is root. See here, which is a predefined in my program. The user of my system is root, who is predefined in the code. Yeah, this was just for you to show it. Okay, I know now the user is root. Coming back to the code here. Now see here, what I will do is initially I'll call the get env to get who is the user of my system, because now my task is to change the value of this user, which was root, to some new value. That is my task here. What I'll call is I'll call get env to get the value of existing user. Get env user, current value of environment variable is val. So what happens here? The value of user is root. So root is taken and assigned to val. So it displays the value of this is root. So here root is displayed. Now once it displays root, my next task is to change the value of this variable from root to some new value. So how to change the value of an existing environment variable? By using setenv. So I'll call setenv function. Please recall the syntax. First is the name of the environment variable. Name of the environment variable. The next is the new value which you are assigned to the environment variable. And the third one is just an integer value which you are passing it. Okay. So here, if it executes, if this is executed, it writes 0. Yeah. If this is executed, if any problems are there, it writes 0, which shows that true. 1. If it is 1, it shows that it is failing. That is what I said. It writes 0 on successful execution and any other value for errors. So directly it's again here. Okay, let me tell you, you have different ways of coding this. You can say set env is equals to user. You can assign it to one variable integer. If that is equal to 0, you can print either way or else part. Coding is up to you. It's your cup of tea. I have coded in a different way. You can again same do like this only. Put env. Call this function set env, assign it to variable. If result is equal to 0, print the true statement, else print the fault. I have done it in another way, just for you to understand it. So if set env user Kuldeep 1, so when it executes successfully, it writes 0. But now here when I'm talking, this is if 0. If true means false. True means what? If will have either 0 or 1. Yeah, 1 means true, 0 means false in if cases. So if 1 is written here, it shows that set env failed. If not, it has changed it. So what does it do here now? Set env for the user, you assign the new value Kuldeep, which was initially for user was root. We studied this in the previous code. System level. Okay. So printf, just a message, set env failed, return. If true, if this is executed successfully, it comes here. Printf successfully added a new value to the existing list. So successfully added now. Initially the value was root. Now we have added this. Yes, till here it is added. But now my next task is to get the value. Which value is added? So again, to get the value, please don't forget you have to use get env only. You directly can't print star val. To print that again you have to call get env. Now what does get env do here is this system call. It again calls get the value of environment variable user. Here the value of user was root, which we got it, but here I changed it. To change it also successfully executed also. So once I want to get it again, I'll call the function get env user. So what's the user new value now? Kuldeep. Hoping that it is successfully changed. So now this user, which is Kuldeep, is assigned to this user and the value is stored in val. Now again I'll display the new value of environment variable is this. So see here, initially it was root, I changed it successfully and the new value is Kuldeep. Let's see whether it is working correctly or not for me now. The system call is put env. Same thing here. Same thing I did. Not put env, sorry, set env. Yeah, set env. This always happens with the multi-tab. Okay, see here. First I called get env, which will get the actual value of the user environment variable, which was root. Keep it here, display it here. Then call the set env. Set env is used to change the value of an environment variable at runtime. At runtime, see again when you run a different code, again your user will be root only. This is at the runtime in your code. Okay, you may again ask, sir, why once I have changed it, why it is not displaying for me again when I write a separate code? No, it is only at the runtime. Just like a stack, only it shows at the runtime. Once you are out of the program, again you should re-execute it. Same thing like that. Okay, so I've called this. If error, it is showed me fail. If not, I have displayed successfully added a new variable. Once it is added, again I have to get the value. See, directly if I print this, it may not display me. You will display the old value. So if at all you want to get the new value, again you should call get env. When you called get env, it was root, but now since you changed it, again you should call get env only. Because if you just display val, it may display again root only for you, because it shows the temporary value, previous temporary value. So again I'll call get env, which is a user. Now this value is assigned to val. Let's see. See the code here. Current value of user is root. We saw in the previous code. System level it is root. New, since it is executed successfully, it shows you new value added to the user. Now again I'm displaying the new value of environment variable user is Kuldeep. See, initially user was root. I have added it and I changed it to the new variable Kuldeep. You can give any naming conventions you want it. Now this will be used when you're writing a bigger code for some system level registry, where you want to display some values, where you want to display your name that you have done it and all. At system level changes, that all can be done by the set env. This always happens here when you take a screenshot. Okay, I'll tell you the best example of this now. Set env. Your friend and all, somewhere they put a nice status in the WhatsApp status now. Then there are n ways. Okay, I'm just giving an example. What you do is you just click on print screen. So the minute you type print screen, their name is visible on top now. Their name is visible on top now. But I don't want that to be shown in my status. So you always crop it. You always crop it, right? What are you doing? The initial, this status was not yours, but it was of your friends, which is a root. Now what you do, you take a screenshot and you crop it. When you crop it, it means that whoever was the initial author, whoever has posted it first time, that you're changing it to your name now. So in your status, it looks like you have uploaded it. Only for time being, please relate this example. Please relate this example, okay? Only for time being. So once again, 24 hours are gone, it's gone now. Getting it? So when you write a code, the same way I'm interested in here now. When you write a bigger code, when you have to display some values at your locations, that time we use always set env and all. That data should be kept at one place and all that. So set env is used only at runtime to change its value from one value to another value. Yes, students, got this? Clear with set env now? Sir, Kushal, sir, when you change an environment variable, is it permanent? It is temporary, Kushal. That is what I said in your program itself. You're running in a program, right? Just like a array. So when you initialize an array in a program, it is only for time being, right? So when you run the same code again you have to initialize the array variables. Yes, Kushal? Okay, yeah. Got this? Is that clear? Set env, everyone? Yes. Okay, Ananya, thank you. Yeah, got this. Now we are very clear with how to write a code for get env, how to write a code for put env, how to write a code for set env. Three are clear now. Okay. Okay. Students, just one thing. I'll just it's still 10:45, right? I'll just continue till 11 o'clock because next class Umesh sir is not taking. Okay, he's on leave today. So he told me to engage. So rather than continuing the other class, what I'll do is I'll just stretch this till 11 o'clock and I'll leave you. Is that okay? Is that okay? Yeah. For this, you people reply, right? Okay. Thank you. So please don't look at till 10:45. I have just one concept to be told you. This I'll complete it, and whenever it is done, we'll wind up for that. Okay. So next class is off, which Umesh sir is not taking. After that, whichever class you have, we can attend that. Okay. Okay. So we are very clear with now. Sir, we understood how to display environment variable by the variable environ, by the third parameter env, by get env. We know how to put a variable to the environment list by the system called put env, how to set a value to the environment variable by the system called set env. Now the next task comes is unset env. Unset env. Now what I mean by unset, at runtime, just like you change the values of the variable, just like if something goes wrong in your system, you download a nice theme, some all blah 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 changes you did, but at the end you understood that this is not working for me. You always click on default settings. Now what I mean by default settings, it goes to the actual setting which are given to you by the system. The default theme, default fonts and all, right? We do that in our mobiles usually. I have to do it all the time. My son keeps on doing that. What do? You keep on downloading some themes, some new fonts and all. At some point you see that it's not working for you. So rather than again going and doing it separately, you always click on restore default. So the minute you click on restore default, it goes to the actual default settings which are given by the system for you. Same thing is unset env. Now in runtime, as you have added an environment variable, you have changed the value of the environment variables. Now next thing is, once you have changed it, again you have to unset it, that is remove its meaning. So the unset env function, again it takes constant char name, that is just the name of the environment variable which you want to unset it. What does it do? The unset env function removes any definition of a name. It is not an error if such a definition does not exist. Please remember that. The unset env removes any definition of the name at runtime only. Again, as Kushal asked me, say, is this temporary or permanent? It is only temporary basis. It is only on temporary basis. The unset env function removes any definition of the name specified there. Okay, so let's see how this works. This is here, as I said, difference between put env and set env. Set env must allocate memory to create name equal to value, whereas put env is free to space the string passed directly to the environment variable. Okay, whenever I'm talking about set, you have to allocate extra memory because you are setting a new value, whereas put env is nothing, it is free, you can directly pass to the variable. So we said about this was get env, this was put env, this was set env. Now unset is very simple. I've made the code as very simple. See here. So what I'll do is unset env. Okay. Initially, what I'll do is I'll get the environment variable user by the system called get env. It will display the value as user. We know now, right? The code which was taken from the previous example only. So first I'll get the environment variable and I'll display its value. So I've got the environment variable user and displayed its value, which is root. Now the minute I call unset env user, what it does is whatever the value is assigned to this variable user, it removes the value. It removes the value, hoping that it removes. That is what I told also orally. Okay. So unset env, what it does, it removes the definition of the environment variable here. So what I did initially, I called user. I have displayed the value which was root for me. I told in the previous also. And this at runtime here, I have called unset env. Now unset env means removes the definition of this variable user. Let's see how. So once you call again unset, again you should call get env. Okay, please remember that, because again if you display val, it takes the previous value only, value assigned to this variable. I hope the sequence of C program you know now. Once it is assigned, it will remain unless until you change it. So even if you don't call this here, it will again show me root only, because the previous value of val is root. So again what you should do is, once I unset it, again call get env. Means get the value of this environment variable. Initially it was root. I have made it unset, so I don't know what value is assigned. So I'll get the value of this user, and again I'll print the new value of user. So let's see what I get here now. I'll close this. I'll come to the code. See, I could have typed the code here only for you students, okay? Because what happens again, it is a time waste for me. Simply typing again do, rather than I have written the code here itself for you, okay? Which saves my time also and your time also. Okay, now look at this code here, which I told you. I'll call get env to get what's the value for user variable, which is root, which will get displayed for me. Then I'll call unset env. Okay, let's see this first. Even I don't know, I'll just comment this. Initially I've commented now. I've called unset env for user, and again I'm printing this value. Let's see what happens. I've called unset. What it does, sir, as you said, it removes the value of this user. I also know now. Yeah, let's see how this works now. I don't know. We can go on trial and error basis. I will see here. Current value of user is root. Value of user is root. Current value is root and value is root. See, I've changed it. Current value of user is root, which is displaying. I've called unset env. This is called. But since what you're doing, you're printing the previous value of val. The value of val is not updated. That is what I'm talking here. The value of val is not updated. It is taking the previous value, which was root only. So only it is displaying you again root here. So for that, whenever you do modification, you should again call the function to get its new value, which is nothing but get env. So now it sets it to null. Remove the definition means what it does, even I don't know now. So it removes its definition, which was root. Now it is removed. Now again call get env. Now what it does here, it gets a new value of the user and assigned to val. Let's see what's the new value stored for me. The new value is null. See, previous value was root, but now it is showing me null. That means it removes the definition. For user, the value is root. Now it removed its definition from root to a new value, which is nothing but a null. Is that clear? Is that clear, everyone? Practical aspects of get env, put env, set env, and unset env. In the exams, if they ask you for 10, 12 marks, this will perfect you. This examples will give you full 12 out of 12 marks also. Okay, we'll stop for the day. I hope is this clear, everyone. Any doubts, students? You are free to tell me in the chat box. As Kushal rightly said initially, it works only on the temporary basis, on the code which you are writing, just like a stack. Stack works only at the runtime. So next time again when you run the program, the stack is empty only for you. Okay. Is this clear? In the chat box again. Yes, Harshvardhan. Yes, thank you. I hope you got this concept. Okay, now I'll just take your attendance now. Okay, this is for your attendance. Please complete your attendance. So next class, which is a 2 hours class, I'll take one more good example there, which is get R limit and set R limit. Now what I mean by get R limit and set R limit is, those are nothing but the system resources. Get resource limit, set resource limit. Just like in your mobile phone, right? You set the bandwidth, you set your data pack. See, every day Jio is giving you 2 GB data space, right? But what you do, you limit yourself. You set it. So only for 1 GB should be used. When it comes, you show me an alert and all. Right? Same way, get R limit and set R limit, which requires almost 1.5 hours for me in a stretch to go, which I'll take in the next 2 hours class for you. Okay? Shall we stop it now? Stop recording.